Many stories from the Bible have transcended generations, shaping the faith of millions. One of the most profound stories is that of a man named Abraham. His journey wasn't just physical, but deeply spiritual, marked by incredible moments of faith, doubt, and divine intervention. Born in the ancient city of Ur, in Mesopotamia, Abraham was a man of great wealth and respect. He had everything anyone could want: land, riches, and a strong family. Yet, he felt something was missing. He yearned for something greater, a purpose beyond the comfort of his life. One day, God spoke to Abraham. At the time, Abraham was already 75 years old, living a comfortable life. But God had different plans for him. Without question, without hesitation, Abraham obeyed. He packed up everything he owned and set out for an unknown destination, trusting in God's promise. But this wasn't just a journey through the desert. This was the beginning of a covenant that would change the world forever. Abraham wasn't alone. He was accompanied by his wife, Sarah, and his nephew, Lot, as well as their servants. They wandered through harsh terrains, but Abraham's faith never faltered. Each step he took was a step of trust in God's word. One night, as they camped under the stars, God made a promise to Abraham that would shape the destiny of his descendants. A promise that, at that time, seemed impossible. Abraham and Sarah had no children, and they were getting older by the day. But God's words never wavered. Abraham believed, despite the odds. Years passed, and still no child came. The promise seemed distant. Sarah grew impatient and offered Abraham her servant, Hagar, to bear a child. Abraham, desperate for an heir, agreed. Hagar gave birth to a son, Ishmael, but that wasn't God's plan. God made it clear that the child of promise would come from Abraham and Sarah, despite their old age. The journey was not just about having a child. It was about trusting in God's timing, even when it didn't make sense. One day, when Abraham was 99 years old, God appeared to him again, telling him that his wife Sarah would bear a son in the following year. Sarah, who was 90 years old, laughed at the thought of bearing a child at her age. It seemed impossible, but God assured her that nothing is too hard for him. True to his word, Sarah bore Isaac, and God's covenant was fulfilled. Abraham's faith had been tested, and in the end, God kept his promise. Isaac became the father of Jacob, and Jacob became Israel, leading to the birth of a great nation. But Abraham's journey of faith wasn't finished yet. God had one more test for him, one that would be the ultimate test of trust. God told Abraham to take his beloved son Isaac to a mountain and sacrifice him as a burnt offering. This was a moment of unimaginable pain. Isaac, the son of promise, the child Abraham had waited for all these years, was now to be sacrificed. Abraham, heartbroken but obedient, prepared to offer Isaac. Just as he was about to sacrifice his son, an angel called out to him, stopping him in his tracks. God provided a ram as a substitute sacrifice, and Abraham's faith was rewarded. He proved his trust in God's plan, even in the face of unspeakable sacrifice. Abraham's faith had been tested like never before, but in the end, God's covenant was fulfilled. Abraham became the father of many nations, and his descendants, through Isaac and Jacob, would carry his legacy. Abraham's story is a reminder of the power of faith, faith that trusts in God's promises, even when the path is unclear, faith that believes in God's timing, even when it doesn't make sense, and faith that follows God, no matter the cost. As we look back on Abraham's life, we are reminded of the importance of trust and obedience. His story doesn't just belong to the past, it speaks to us today. Abraham's legacy continues to shape the faith of millions. His story teaches us that with God, all things are possible, and that when we walk by faith, we can trust that He will lead us to a future greater than we can imagine.